Everyone buys comic books here. We have everyone from young to 2 years old to 75, 80 years old. Um, and they could be nerdy, they could be hipsters, they could be anybody pretty much. So you'd be surprised.
At the time, I thought I was going to be a playwright, and I had written a play based off of Living with Robots, and I think I spent a good number of years trying to do that, trying to produce that. And in probably, there was always this notion of doing Specter-X or doing a superhero, teen superhero, but that kind of took a back seat because I was just trying to be a playwright. I dealt with a lot of problems with people trying to get people interested in wanting to do Living with Robots, the play that I was trying to do, but I was met with a lot of flakiness. I was met with a lot of broken promises and a lot of things that were just really made me not want to do theater, pretty much trying to find my creative differences somewhere else. And that came about when I was reading comics. Comics was sort of like the cathartic thing to kind of keep me calm. It was like the one thing that I turned to that kind of made everything better, and I was like feeling better. Otherwise, I probably would have been really pissed off a guy if it weren't for comics. And so, as I was reading so many comics, I got this idea for. I started, writing down, outlining, and sort of coming up with who is this character. Like I based it a little bit off myself, and it just sort of became like its own thing. And the thing that kind of made me realize that one of the reasons why I wanted to do this comic was the fact that a number of reasons. One was the fact that I wanted to have it set in San Francisco. That was important. I didn't want it to be in a fictional city because San Francisco doesn't have its own superhero. I felt that it came to a point where I want to make him Latino. So I spent a good number of years trying to polish that script off. I polished it. And at the time, Specter-X didn't have a name. I didn't even know what the name of the character was. I was going with names like Jet 5 or Johnny X or something like that, or it was like Johnny Spectre or something. So it had some lame names, and initially Specter-X came from the fact that this was going to be a fictional character in Living with Robots. And I liked the name Specter-X so much, and I had this idea but with no name. I had a name with no concept, and I thought, just meld the two together. So Specter-X, when Specter-X was going to be the character for that superhero idea, that's when things started taking shape.
I've worked with a couple of people and it's all worked out kind of really nicely. When I was concerned about changing some of his dialogue, I asked some other artists, even at a panel of artists, I raised a hand, had a question, and I asked. And heard people's experiences, and you just have to talk with somebody and learn to work with them and not be afraid to say what you think and not be upset if they don't like it.
Self-publishing and trying to get started, you need to release content for free, and just make it available, and then that's how you build a readership and a fan base, so that when people already like what you've given them for free, then the next time you have something to sell or a new issue or an art book or something, you need to have people in place who are already on board to buy it. Oh yeah, definitely we do. We carry a lot of self-published comics, local stuff, things that things that people contact us about through the internet and just say, hey, would you be interested in carrying our book? So we have quite a lot of small press things that we carry here that we either buy or consign from the authors.
We have a huge indie section, and you know, we buy them from people off the street. You know, people come in here maybe even once a week trying to sell their comics that they do. So, yeah.
May not be the path that he takes, that his path may be to work for a studio as a writer, maybe many times being told, go back and write this way, you know, until eventually they might listen to him and, you know, or they might just love what he has. I recommend that he just works and produces work, because that's what, you know, that's how he got noticed and got his job. And I'm sure that maybe a lot of artists might tell you that. It's just all about working and getting yourself out there and letting people see your work and producing, you know, more and showing it to people, and eventually something works.
If you're going to make a first issue to a comic book, you really need to have the reader want to read the next issue. That is like the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you have great ideas for later. If the first issue that sucks, they're not going to read. They're not going to want to come back for the second one.